Welcome to Ben Snap and Chat, the podcast where we talk about what happens when life doesn't go according to plan.
I'm Christy.
And I'm Drake.
And around here, we believe that even when life bends us, it doesn't mean we're broken.
Let's get into it. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Season 1, Episode 7 of Ben Snap and Chat. And guess what, Christy?
What, Drake?
Everybody wants to dance like Josephine Baker.
I love that.
Did you hear the song?
Well, you shared the song with me. Do you want to tell them how this actually came about for today's episode?
Today's episode's all about the great Josephine Baker. So anyway, I've been on this Boney M. I go on these, I call them musical tangents, where they last for it could last for a month. It might last for a month and a half, where I obsess about things and I listen to it constantly. It's part of the ADHD, I think. But
Probably.
I've been on this Boney M kick. And I was listening to Rivers of Babylon and Brown Girl in the Ring and Rasputin and all this really cool old disco stuff.
Daddy Cool.
Yeah. But then this new song came up in the algorithm. I hadn't heard it before, and we'll talk about it maybe a little bit later about the song itself because it's really cool.
It is.
So I heard the song and it was like, oh, I never heard this. Boney M had a song in 1989. It's like, oh, where did this come from? But it was all about this. Everybody wants to dance like Josephine Baker. And I'm like, okay, so I will say, so I'm not, the other thing about me is that when it comes to like pop culture, I'm not always completely immersed because of the ADHD. So I get, like I said, hyper focused on things and I miss a lot. So I did not know who she was except for the hair product.
That's how you knew her?
Baker Fix. Yeah, because the hair product was talked about a lot because it was revolutionary. So, because it was, we'll talk a little bit more about the hair product later.
Yeah. But as a hairstylist, that's an interesting connection to have.
Yeah. So that's how I'd heard about it.
Okay.
And her. So, but then when I seen the whole legacy of, and then I thought, that's why I sent it to you. And I'm like, oh, I thought I was like, Columbus discovering America when he was really just kind of drunk and the natives were just standing there going, who the hell is here now? When company come that I was kind of like this on Saturday. I thought I was like Columbus discovering like Josephine Baker. And I hurry texted you, of course, because I thought that you might love her.
And I adore her. She's a legend. She's a badass woman.
So tell us about your experience with Josephine Baker. Since I'm brand new to this is going to be me kind of like talking to you about this.
So I was introduced to her by a really good friend of mine who's an art historian. And I was doing some like vintage style photo shoots with him. And he sends me so much. He's like an encyclopedia. And the amount of art history that I've learned from him is insane. And Josephine Baker was one of the first people that he really introduced me to. And like, if you don't know who she is, I highly recommend Googling Josephine Baker. She has this incredible energy and spirit and like infectious smile to her. She was a dancer in the 1920s who, like a flapper girl, who ended up made her way to Paris. And we can talk more about that as a woman of color at that time.
Yeah, black and this whole being in the entertainment industry back then. And I can relate to this, okay? Because being like a gay guy in country music 14 years ago, it was very much the same way. So I relate to why she moved.
Especially at that time, like with segregation, and like she lived through all of the racism because she was from the States. Where exactly was she from again? I can't remember exactly. St. Louis.
St. Louis. Yep.
And yeah, it's just phenomenal that this woman
in
from
Missouri,
St. Louis,
right? So Missouri's like, when it comes to this racism stuff. Yeah, I've been down in these places. I know what they're like.
The racism, she went through war and exile, but she still had this like beautiful joy about her. And I think we really resonated with her story, especially with everything that's happening right now in the
Oh,
world.
well, this is how this episode kind of happened. We were like, oh,
Yeah.
we need to do a connection episode that's going to help everybody kind of, get out of their heads for a little while and think about this as not being part of the chaos, as stepping away from it for a moment and getting outside of this, all this third dimensional insanity that we have going on right now. And when I discovered this woman, when I looked at her story throughout, the 40 years,
Yeah.
the one vein of her whole life was hardship.
It was.
Like she was they were living in like the ghettos in St. Louis. It was like third world poverty.
Yeah.
And she had abusive relationships because she was attaching to people because she wanted to get away from her mother. Her mother was incredibly abusive. Did you know that?
Yeah. Unfortunately, yes, I did.
Yeah. So the mother was really, really, really horrible to her. So she was constantly trying to escape. And what did women do when they tried to escape
They got
years ago?
married.
They got married, right?
Yeah.
Um, much to many women's detriments. So I was like really enthralled with how she managed to flourish in literally a pool of acid,
Yeah.
because that's what it was like. That the segregation thing in the US must have been incredibly crushing as an artist and performer at that time. So can you imagine being a young girl like that, black, and
Yeah.
packing up your bag and just leaving for like Paris?
It's That's why her life and her story is so inspiring, and it gives people, it's just, I honestly, I feel like all of us as a collective are rising right now from all the things. There's so much division in our lives, in this world, and seeing how she navigated her life through all of the difficulties, she still, even in her later life, always showed up with joy. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just such a tangible quality when you see her dance and when you see her smile. And she was really known for making funny faces when she danced and like
Oh,
crisscrossing her eyes. And
yeah,
the movements were just so, like, she took up space. And
a
I think
lot
a
of it.
lot of us, yeah, it's
Yeah.
such a beautiful energy
And I
that
think
we want to tap.
I gotta butt in because you're
Yeah.
making a really good like talking point here. Because like I think the biggest point here is that so many people right now feel suppressed. Right?
Yes,
And even before all this stuff started to happen, a lot of people are suppressed
they are.
without all of this world crumbling around us sort of thing going on. And I think a lot of people have never been themselves.
No.
And that's what I think is one of the most important things that people like her teach us,
It
is that being yourself is really, really important. I've pretty much, since I've come out, I'm pretty much myself. And I have been for a long time. I try to be as authentic as I possibly can be. I don't care
yeah.
what people think about me. I have my problems, and yes, many of them, and faults and things like that. And I can admit to that. And I'm very happy like that. And I love being authentic. And I think that's a great point that you're making there, is that's what she was about.
She really was like unapologetically herself. And I feel like for me, like going through the health stuff and having to stop a career and all these things like that could have really got me down, I feel like it's given me the space to really focus on my healing and understanding who I am as a woman, as a person, and how I want to show up in this world. And she is just such a beautiful example. I just want, for me, it's kind of important to just acknowledge the fact that when it comes to rebellions and being resilient and activism, because our history is so whitewashed, we
No.
tend to like forget. Okay, yeah, it's, you and I both know
Yeah.
how, like, and so being able to amplify the voices of Black women who have always been at the forefront of, whether it's like Stonewall or the Me Too movement or Black Lives Matter. Black women, Black women's voices tend to be the ones that are shut down the most out of everyone, or people of color. And they have so much to offer. And I think that we really need to raise those voices right now. So I don't think it's a coincidence that both of us are so inspired by her and her life.
Yeah, I was obsessed. I went on the down the YouTube rabbit hole and learned all of the things about her. And I mean, she had a really interesting life. It was turbulent, and she was poverty stricken, and she had influential friends that helped her, and that was really really inspiring too. We'll talk about a little bit more about that. But I think what the way I resonated with her the most was like being feeling left out from things. I mean, obviously she did a great job of permeating that, and I think the reason why she went to Paris was because the French are much more accepting of everything
Yes,
in
definitely.
general. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like, I think that she found a place to perform in Paris where it didn't matter as much that she was black.
they loved her.
Yeah, it's kind of like gay people, gay artists performing at Pride.
That it's just, she found her tribe and community, and that honestly kind of resonated throughout her life. And I think that's an important thing for us, like in our own lives, the importance of, we can get so wrapped up in what's going on in the world. Like, hearing last week about this, like, rape academy and like the Epstein file, like, it's too much.
Oh, right now, it's like we have to create our own way, like Josephine,
Yes.
not just dancing like her, but we need to kind of
No,
think like her right now.
we really do.
Yeah,
And
we need to think like her.
I think, like, for her, what she really represents to me is joy as, like, defiance. It's a tool that we can use to get through these dark times, and community as protection. It's really, like, for me as a woman, and seeing this patriarch, like, to me, she represents a matriarchal society. The things that stand out when you look at her, like, she at one point adopted what she called her rainbow tribe, where she had adopted 12 kids from all
12.
over the world,
Yeah.
because she wanted to prove that we are all connected and we can live together and connect, and really come from a heart-centered place.
Yep. I the whole thing about the kids was amazing. But there's a couple of other things, like she refused to perform for segregated audiences also.
She did.
So
She
she had a
refused
rule.
multiple times, and that's one of the reasons why she went back and forth between Paris and the States a lot,
Yeah.
but she ended up actually becoming um, a French citizen, and was a spy. She was a spy
Oh, I
in
know.
World War II.
It just keeps on getting better. The whole thing, it's like, and the cool thing is, it's like, so she's a World War II hero, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So from 1939 to 1945. And, let me just stop here for a moment and acknowledge the fact that dickhead, Pete Hegseth, has
Yes.
been constantly using an anti female rhetoric in the US military right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Pete Hegseth is really just a washed up kind of morning show host, if I'm not mistaken, on the crap Fox News.
Yeah.
And not only that, he's a Christian nationalist and an alcoholic who probably never saw any type of real scary action like Josephine would have been met with in 1939.
Yes.
Did you know how she did it?
So
Do you know what
what
she
I
did?
heard, I mean, you tell me.
Well, she worked as a spy. So she was a spy. She smuggled secrets in her sheet music.
It's
Okay.
so good.
And then she used her celebrity status to gather intel. Because, and I'll tell you, when you're a celebrity, if people think you're of any type of notoriety,
Yep.
they will cling to you and they will joyfully give up all of these secrets.
Yep.
And I bet you that's what happened. I bet you she used all of that charisma, all of that to get all this info.
And nobody would have ever saw it coming because all they saw was a black entertainer. Even if she was a celebrity, that's how they viewed her. And so she was able to get into rooms with, like Nazis and whatever was going on at the time, the opposition, to be able to get that.
Wait,
And
no.
apparently, with the sheet music,
Yeah.
she apparently used like invisible ink
No.
yes, I say, isn't
Oh,
that
I didn't know
cool?
that part.
Yes, it's cool.
That's very cool. Oh my God. So, the other thing too is at the end of the war, I mean, she came back. Some people were wondering where she was because I think she kept a lower profile but still performed.
She did, and she also used her home to as a safe haven for Jewish people who were like trying to flee from the Nazis.
It's
So
amazing.
she
God, this
yeah,
sounds so familiar to me, this story.
she's amazing.
This story sounds familiar to me. Oh, wait. We're living it right now. Excuse me.
Right.
Really, right? We're living this right now. A couple more facts about her after the war. So this went through from 39 to 45, apparently.
Yep. Yep.
And then she was awarded Le Croix de Guerre, which is the Cross of War.
It's the highest honor.
Yeah. And then she got the
Yeah.
Legion of Honor also. But Macron did,
I
in
saw
France, did a
that.
big thing for her too. Yeah.
Yes.
So I was
Yes.
living under a rock when it comes to this. I'm sure people are going out there, oh my God, I can't believe you didn't know who she was. But I'm just not that culture kind of person.
It's okay because you know her now. That's all that matters.
Well, I knew her hair product. I just thought she made hair products. Okay. Like I just didn't take a deep dive. There was no internet back then. I was in hair school. We were talking about finger waves. I mean, that's what happened. And I can still do a killer
I
finger
love
wave,
it.
by the way. Josephine would be impressed.
I mean, you need to show me.
Oh, I can do it. It's hard to do. To do a proper finger wave, you have to be standing above somebody because it's a real,
Oh,
if you can get a hairdresser to do a proper finger wave, you have an artist on your hands
yeah.
because it's like drawing with the hair.
It's just so beautiful. I love that aesthetic.
I do too. I still like it.
Yeah. Yeah, me
I
too.
still think there's a lot of celebs still wear it sometimes. I think it's really, really cool.
It's so chic and
Yeah.
honestly
And
timeless.
so she brought it, like she was like I hate to even put them in the same category. Like the Kardashians come out with all these cosmetics. And I don't know what the Kardashians ever got famous for. I don't know. I'm still don't know. Does anybody out there know why the Kardashians are famous other than they have big asses or something like that? But I mean, I don't know. But they had all of these products and they had
Yes.
hairspray and the Kardashians have this and that and everything is Kardashian. But Baker was the first one to do this shit, right? She
Yeah.
had her own cosmetic line. Did you know that?
I didn't know. I knew about the hair. I didn't know about the cosmetics.
There was face cream and everything, and she wanted a special foundation to be able to white her face out.
Yes, because back then,
Yeah, but
she didn't want to be too dark.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah,
But
yeah. So again, we're back to the racism thing. But I don't think she was met with so much of that when she was like in France.
Not in France, no. It was all back in the States.
So like for me, like so when I discovered the song, because we're talking about the world here too, and how people like Josephine navigate in the world. So the world is a very problematic place at the moment. I have people online that I chat with that are sending me messages. There's a lot of distressed people at the moment.
There are.
Because if you don't, okay, can I get on my soapbox for just a moment, please?
You can, yes.
Okay, so if you're a person that constantly looks, and I'm not preaching here because I'm only telling you what I've discovered from my own experience.
Okay.
So as an artist early on in my career, I was constantly looking for validation, and I would constantly externally look for validation. And when it was there, you get the dopamine hit. And when it's not there, you don't get the dopamine hit. And then you're
Yeah.
back to like, you don't believe in yourself, right?
Yeah.
So I've gone through this really big roller coaster of being very external and needing to be externally validated. And I'm sure Josephine did too, because all
Of
artists, we all want to
yes.
be noticed.
Yep.
I want people to listen to my music. I want people to see my photos. I want people to hear my message. Of course, that's if you wouldn't, I wouldn't want to do it if that wasn't the case. So there's a certain
Exactly.
amount of ego involved in all of this. And I've had to learn how to live with my ego. But my ego was constantly looking for the external. And I don't, probably a lot of my fans and a lot of people that know me will probably know what I'm talking about right now if they're listening to the podcast, because I don't post as much stuff anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not constantly posting photos of myself anymore. I because I have an inner validation that no longer is seeking external. Now, I'm not saying I forgot about my fans and the people who listen to my music and the
Yeah.
people who supported me. I haven't. I'm still there.
Yeah.
I just don't feel the pressure anymore, which has been freeing in a way that I've never felt before. And I don't know whether this comes with being, I just turned 56 the other day, and
Yeah.
I I think it comes with age, but I think the most important thing right now, and we're back to Josephine again. We're going to keep
Yep.
referencing back to this. It was a very tough time in history. There was wars going on back then. There was so much racism and homophobia back then. It was, people were being mass executed back then.
Yeah.
She still flourished in this. So I think the way, if I can kind of clarify what I'm talking about here for a minute, is that I really chose to look back inside,
Yeah.
to change, to go back inward instead of looking outward. So then I had to start working on validating myself. And when I say validating things, I don't mean just validating as in going, oh, that's positive, but you have to validate the negative things too,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
You have to be able to process the negative things and validate those and say, okay, yes, this is how I am, and this is what happened, or that happened, and this happened, and I can't control that, right?
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of that in my life the past 3 years since I
I
got
hear
really
you.
sick. Since
Yeah.
I got
I
really
know.
sick,
Yeah.
right?
I know.
So you
Yeah.
have to validate all this stuff, and you have to sort through that filing cabinet. But then then you have to take your own ego, and then you have to figure out, how can I stroke my own ego enough so I don't have to be validated by everybody else, so I can be an authentic person. And that's how you get to be Josephine.
It really is. Like
That's deep, I know.
it's very deep. It's very deep, but it's true. I think many of us that are very sensitive and empaths, there's a lot of energy going on right now that can be distracting and is causing a lot of division.
Yeah.
But I think being able to come back to ourselves and to our authenticity, and like we're not talking about like spiritual bypassing and just like toxic positivity, like, oh, like joy is all great. No,
No.
we have to always, you can't ignore the hard parts, but we can also use joy and light and positivity to help us navigate these dark times. And I'm also, as a woman, I think one of the things that Josephine to me also represents is because I can only imagine the amount of emotions and feelings that she had going through and being faced with all this adversity in her life, that like she really had to process that. And so when we talk about this collective energy, for me it feels like this sacred rage. And to me, like, it very much differs from men. And I feel like right now there's a lot of men and their rage is directly tied to hatred of women. Whereas when I'm talking about sacred rage, it stems from oppression and injustice. And it's
Yeah.
important for us to feel everything, because if we don't, then we're being untrue to a certain
Yeah.
part of us.
Yeah. And you have
And
to balance.
yeah.
You have to
It's not
balance both.
easy to. It's really not. I honestly have been feeling more and more called to create more content and work around the matriarch and around divine feminine, because it's something I think that many of us need right now in the face of this patriarchy.
Well,
I know
it's
I talk
just
about
this.
the patriarchy and the matriarch a lot, but
Well, it's very spoken about now, though.
it is.
Everywhere you go, like I watch a lot of YouTube stuff on all of these
Yeah.
things that are, you know, basically that's created the same world that Josephine lived in,
Yeah.
which is now the Nazi Christian nationalist Trump regime that we have, who are drunk and stoned all the time and are abusing women, and they have like I, you know, I look at all of these women and all these things and the things that they're doing and manipulating, and Carolyn Levitt lying all the time. These people like Carolyn Levitt were not empowered like Josephine Baker.
No.
They've been indoctrinated. And I'm not giving her again a jail free card. I can't stand her. Okay. But what I'm
No.
saying is, in my personal reflection, and looking inward, and then seeing that when you look inward you find peace, and then when you're able to look at the world with a different set of eyes.
Yes.
And so when I look at her now, I see indoctrination, and I see,
Yep.
you know, the religion and the what you call the patriarchy that's
Yep.
been like, it's really pressing and destroying the world right now. So
It really is.
it's really a reality. It's not something that we just talk about. It's something we're living. So I think it's really a great time to return to what Josephine Baker embodied as a universal message. I mean, we are talking about something today that did stand next to Martin Luther King while he was delivering the
Yes.
famous speech.
Oh,
And she also spoke herself, from what I understand. Wasn't there. I think I was too young, or very, very young at the time.
yeah.
Um, but I can't remember what year that was. What year was that? I don't remember.
I
Fact check.
yeah, fact
But
check.
I'm gonna fact check it, because I do have it, I think, here. But yeah, so I mean, embodying all of those things, I mean, we have to find a way to survive in this world, and
Yeah,
the matriarchal. There's a comfort in women.
there is.
We've had this conversation personally, because
Yeah.
I was very close to my mother, less close to my dad because he was very disconnected from me when I was younger. So I grew up with a very pretty big influence from my mother, major
Yeah.
influence from her. And then I went into hairstyling when I was 16, when I quit school, and I was in with 20 girls for a year. And then I went on to my career for, you know, besides music, I was doing both.
Yeah.
But in my career, I encountered women all the time. So sometimes how I think is more like their perspective sometimes. So I look at this kind of from the same um, viewing glass as you do.
Yeah.
So we have that in common.
Definitely.
Despite my, you know, sexy deep voice and all my sexy beard and all these things, there's a very, very feminine part of me that lives, you know, very close to me. So, and I don't find any weakness in saying that. I just think it's kind of cool that I live sometimes, you know, I wear makeup and I do all of the, I'm like Josephine. I just want people to go, oh my God, I can't believe he's doing that. Look at him.
I know.
He's wearing eyeliner again. He thinks he's somebody. I mean,
She pushed boundaries
well, she
in
did
so
this,
many
right? So
ways.
that's what I
Yes.
do. I like to do that too, you know? So, you know, so the lumberjack wears eyeliner. Yeah. So, you know, it's just the way it
I
is,
love
because
that.
I'm authentically myself.
Yeah. Which I think is important, whether you're a man, a woman, like however you identify. It's not, this is not about men versus women. It's really, honestly, if you can put it in the most simple terms, how I see it is there's good versus evil right now.
Yeah.
And there's women on both sides and there's men on both sides.
Yeah.
And I think we need more men to be like supporting the matriarch, and because it doesn't exclude men. Men would actually be taken care of better in a matriarch than
Well,
the
most men are
patriarch.
like that anyway, and they just don't
Yeah.
want to. Oh, I'm going to get myself in trouble. Most of us are mommy's boys.
Yeah.
Really, we are. like especially the gay boys,
Yeah.
like us gay guys are like with our mothers. I mean, I've had issues with my mom, unfortunately, and that's, personal, and it's segregated our relationship.
Yeah.
Um, but I miss that, so I find my matriarchal need is fulfilled by other people in my life.
Yeah. In
So
communities. Like for me, you are one of those people where like if you can find people that you feel seen, that you can feel like authentically being yourself and not
like, can you
judged and
pull your jogging pants up to your belly button? You don't care, right?
exactly.
Those kind of people.
That's the energy. That is it. The way it is right now with this hierarchy, with like a specific type of men at the top who is dominating and controlling everyone underneath.
Well, they're like crusaders.
Yeah.
That's what it's like right now. They're like
It's,
dominating crusaders, or like Vikings. Only they're using other people and other people's money to do these things, and to cause all of this division, which, we're talking about Josephine today. And
yeah.
she was all about like unification and all of the
Yes.
things we could have when we work together. I mean, so much that she even, let's put another Josephine, like little shameless plug in here. She opened up her own nightclub, so there wouldn't be any restrictions for any performer.
Yep.
Shay
Like
Josephine
how
was,
powerful
yeah,
at that time
yep,
and for a black woman.
yep. And she was
I'm,
doing all of this, and here we are again. Okay, so I'm like, just to get up and off my ass to do this podcast today was
yeah.
like, oh my God. And but she was doing this, like she was opening nightclubs and being a spy, and
Right?
just adopting a few 12 dozen
12 chilled.
children.
Yeah. 12 dozen.
Too many in my
Yeah.
one is
A
too many
lot.
for me.
It's a lot.
I
Yeah.
but like I'm a big child myself. um I always say there's no room for any children because I'm a big child myself. But yeah, no,
Uh,
I totally, like, I look at her and I go, okay, if she can do it, then I can. And so I even worked out before we did the podcast, because I thought,
yeah.
okay, we're going to embody the tenacity of Josephine Baker, then we better get up out of our ass and do a few push-ups, is what I kind of thought.
Right. But
So
even just in creation, like the matrix, this energy is of creation. And so like for me having this outlet like our podcast to be able to share, and it's a source of light for me. It's a source of creation, and I just feel very empowered, honestly, being
yeah,
able to
well,
do this and use our voices the way that we are.
yeah, me too. I feel the same way. But I also feel like it's kind of like therapy for you and I. And I feel like in a
Yes.
weird way, we're kind of
Our
bearing our souls
souls.
about a lot of
We
stuff.
are. Yeah.
I sometimes, right before the podcast released last week, and I know that,
Yep.
when you release a new podcast, it takes a while to get traction.
It
But
does.
even still, I was like, I'm nervous about this, because I
Yeah.
said a lot of stuff. I mean, I told people things, very personal things about myself. Um,
Yeah.
and you did too.
Yeah,
And
I did.
but being vulnerable is part
Yeah.
of, again,
This energy.
turning inward and
Yeah.
finding that you're okay with this, and you're okay with, you can't, a lot of people feel like they've lost control
And
because
they have in a lot of circumstances. Like when
external
we're looking
control,
at this.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, external control, we have no control over. We can watch the news, we can understand the mechanics of what's happening right now, which is not good, by the way.
No,
It's really bad right now. I'm not
it
burying my head in
is.
the sand. I know what's happening.
Yeah.
And so it's really, really bad. But if your home base is solid,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what's happening externally. And I think that's how she survived.
It must have been because just even trying to put like my mind into like that timeline when she was alive and when all of this was happening, and it's unbelievable. Like it's
Well,
unbelievable that this small black girl from the states became a star in Paris
yep.
where she was fully accepted.
Yeah. I wonder,
Everyone saw her light there.
what I really
And
wonder is why Paris? Like, I probably, because she probably was told or read something somewhere, because back then we didn't have no phones, no internet,
no,
nothing. right?
We didn't
So
have anything.
there was nothing girl. And so anyway, I mean, she would have had to read that somewhere, but I wonder what was the factor. Like what time did she read this? And I'd be really interested to know that story about that transition.
From what I read, it seemed like she auditioned for this like black entertainment group that was like a traveling group that for however whatever reason was then traveling to Paris, and she kind of stood out within that group, and kind of her own solo career kind of lifted from that point.
It's
She was like an understudy or something, and then like she did her thing with her like cross-eyed, and she just everybody fell in love with her because she
yeah.
was authentic. She was like, she didn't care what people thought, she
Oh
just
yeah.
danced.
Like she was awesome in interviews. She was interviewed by Radio
Yes,
Canada and CBC, and she was on a bunch of television things in her late 60s.
yes,
And she was so well spoken and intelligent and calm. This kind of brings
yes.
us to a point in this episode where we're kind of going to go. I'm going to go, okay, I'll put Christy on the spot.
Okay.
And so, everybody out there is having a meltdown.
Yeah.
Everybody's paying $11 for a jar of peanut
Oh
butter
my
and
god.
$8 for a gallon of gas here in Canada. And we're all pretty much strapped and sick of this shit. So,
Yeah.
Christy, what would you tell people? One thing, what would be the embodiment of something they could do to be more like Josephine, to be able to be that tenacious fighter in the middle of the storm?
I really think that being able to find your joy, whatever that means. Like for me, this weekend, I was listening to music and dancing and singing, and I felt so much joy because I had, right before that, I had found out about this like 62 million men, and I was enraged. Like I was enraged.
So that's that rape
And
thing, right? This is the rape.
yes, the
Yeah.
and it's not just, we were always taught, oh, like you have to be careful of men in the shadows and like hiding in the dark streets.
Yeah. What do
These
you
are
do?
husbands and boyfriends that are sharing. I was, yes. So I needed something to like
Oh.
release that anger.
Oh, I didn't feel any of that anger. I didn't
Oh,
know.
you did. I
No.
was, I was
Huh.
very,
Oh, I
because
was
I've been
shocked when
through it.
this is something CNN, by the way, like
Yes.
reported on the other day. This rape website where they
They're
actually
literally teaching each
how to
other
drug
how
how
to,
to drug your
yes,
partner and rape them. Yeah, and I told you
without
this
killing
happens. I
them.
told you this happens a
Yeah.
lot in the gay community too.
The thing that I found interesting when you said that, because once I thought about that, I was like, yeah, unfortunately, it's not that surprising. Even the preconceptions I had of like the gay community being more safe and sex positive and open. But the
Well,
thing that you said,
there's a large
I,
demographic of our community that's wonderful and that
yeah,
are great people and that are sex positive and
yeah,
that are fetish positive and that can do these things and be expressive and be very good people. But there's, like every other person or people or group or minority or whatever it is, there's bad. Why
they're
do we
really,
why are we always excluding, like there can't be bad people in this community, but there can. And there's a
it's
lot of credit.
everywhere.
Yeah.
There, but the thing that you said that really stuck out with me, and I was like, yep. You said that it doesn't happen in the lesbian community or lesbian relationships.
Well,
And
I haven't tried my
that we
lesbian
know
suit on
of.
lately, but not that I know of.
Not
Now,
that we
there may
know
be some
of.
lesbians. If you're a lesbian and you're out there and you need to have a voice, we do have a comment section.
Definitely. We'd love to hear from
We'd
you.
love to hear from the lesbians because I feel, to be honest with you, out of all of the people, the lesbians and the bisexuals in our acronym are very
Yep.
quiet, which tells you what? It's always the quiet ones, they say. You
But
know what they're doing? They're having sex. They're not worried about any of the politics. They're just doing their thing.
but they're not like hurting each other.
No,
That, I
exactly.
mean, it
They're
we
not
say like not
embodying.
all men, but it's always a man.
Yes.
You know, like
Well,
it's
lately it has been, except for
yes.
that Italian prime minister. I'm not very fussy on her, by the way.
Well, I
Don't like
mean,
her. I hate the fact that when women get in power,
that's
well, so we've
I
had
think you're going to say what I was going to say.
we've
Yeah.
had Margaret Thatcher, we've had this one. I don't even remember her name in Italy. You should know. You're Italian.
Oh,
I'll
you're
put this.
putting me
I'm
on
going
the
to put this on
spot. I
you
don't.
now.
Yeah,
So because I forget her name,
I
because
don't
ever since
remember
I
the
seen
name.
her like fraternizing with Cheeto there, Taco.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
no. So and then there's like what, Danielle Smith. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, Stefanik. I mean, there's been a lot of women that get in the manosphere.
Yeah.
This is
And the
where we're
Red
going.
Pill
And then they start
Matrix.
getting
Yeah.
influenced by the manosphere, and suddenly the women become just like the manosphere. Because the manosphere isn't about the penis, it's about an
No.
ideology. It's an
Exactly. And
ideology.
power, control.
Yeah, it's a massive ego problem that's raging out of control. And it's what I said before. When you go inward, if you go inward and you analyze all
Yes.
this stuff, you don't end up
Yeah.
in the manosphere.
That's the thing. And I think another point is like when it comes to online, we can waste so much time like going down different holes. And I think honestly, where our power lies is in real connections, having real conversations with people, not online, in person. It it's a totally different conversation and is very empowering.
And like
I
my thing would be, what I'm finding is when I can motivate myself to be creative, I find that is where I'm most happy, feeling like after we're done the podcast, I'm always feeling like we did something.
Yes.
And
It's
it gives us,
powerful.
yeah, it's about, this podcast is about us, right?
It
It's about
is.
us. It started for us. And I said, oh, we
Yeah.
need to vent this out to the world, and whoever gets
Yeah.
to listen. And if somebody loves it, thank you very much for listening, everybody. By the
It
way, we
honestly
really
means
appreciate it.
the
And thank you for
yeah,
your
it
comments.
means the world to us, honestly.
Yeah, I send people to comment, by the way, just to get the algorithm to trip. So if you're listening and you haven't commented, it's the comments that will really drive the podcast. So could you please comment underneath? And we don't care. We want your perspective. Be respectful to everybody
Yeah.
commenting. But if you have a question or you have a comment, we are very open, right, Christy?
Oh, we want to hear everything because we can speak from our perspective, our lenses, what we've been through personally. But there are so many other perspectives out there that, you know, may not impact us directly, but is still important to be a part of the conversation. It's
So,
these voices that are like the most vulnerable. Honestly, like we need to lift them up.
well, and that's all of us.
Yes,
That's
it
all of
is.
us. So if we stick together, and you know how you do this, right? Because again, we're back to like people feel like they're out of control. So I
Yeah.
understand that you feel like you're out of control, but you can do something right away. So if you want to help this crisis that we have, just be a kinder person.
Yeah.
It's not always easy to be that kind person in this world.
Especially now. There's just so much division, there's so much stress, there's so much
Media trying to trigger you because
ugh,
they figure out, if you make here's the other thing. If you make a
yeah, it's true.
couple of bad, the Josephine didn't have to deal with this.
No.
She had a lot of shit on her plate, but
Exactly.
she didn't have to
Not
deal with
not social
Facebook,
media.
not social
Exactly.
media. So here's the thing. You comment, you fight with a couple of people on a topic,
Ugh,
Facebook read the topic, and then they will put more and more of other posts that are of that nature to make you react, so that, because reaction is money, right?
yep.
And
Yeah.
because it's ad traffic, and that's how Facebook is making their money. So the more you
Yeah.
comment and the more you fight with Frank on Facebook, that,
Right.
at the end of the day, what have you really used your energy for?
And do you feel good after doing it?
No. And that's why I
No.
said I'd rather do the podcast. I'm recording, I'm producing a Christmas song right now.
I'm
I
excited
know.
for that.
Well, it'd be fun. I wanted to do
Alright.
something creative, and it's an interesting song for its. I'm not going to say, it's going to be a surprise.
Yeah.
You
We
know
won't
what it
ruin
is.
that.
I
I know,
told you.
but I'm not gonna share.
But yeah, so I'm planning like creative projects. So I want that's what I want to do. That's what makes me feel good, because fighting with Frank don't make me feel very good.
The keyboard warriors, like, it's been a while since I've done that, but when I did, I would have this anxiety and this anger and this frustration, and I don't even know the person that I'm arguing
Well,
with.
that's the thing.
Like, it's all online, and I think, like, having real life connections and being able to, like, draw inward, whether it's like finding joy or finding, like, I actually wrote about using rage as fuel, like, getting to know yourself on an authentic, real level and show up as that person in real life and
Hmm.
with the people around you. That's powerful, and it's how we take our power back
Yeah,
from
and the
the
most work,
division.
right? Exactly, and the most
Yeah,
work you're going to do, the hardest part of doing what you just said right there
yeah,
is accepting yourself.
yes. It's not easy.
You have to take it all. By the way,
The good, the bad, the ugly.
yeah,
Yes.
it's like me. Living with me. I'm an artist, and when I got psychotic, it was really bad.
Yeah.
Like, I laugh now, but it was really bad. It was
Poor
a very
Michael.
traumatic time
Yeah,
of my life, and it's
yeah,
just coming to an end right now.
yeah,
It took a year for my nervous system to heal from this shock it got.
yeah,
Um, but I the one thing I've had to do is accept that time in my life and
yeah,
what happened, and there was bad things that happened during that time, and I lost like 3 years of who I was in there. And
yeah,
that's when I had to really start to look inward and go, oh, okay, there's all this bad stuff here,
yeah.
but you have to accept and forgive yourself for that. Like,
That's the key. Forgive yourself.
it's so
Yeah.
hard. It's the hardest thing. And that was the
Because I
most
think we've been, like, socialized to carry a
guilt,
lot of shame and
Catholic
guilt.
guilt.
That's what it is,
Yeah. I don't
and
know what religion Josephine was. That's one thing I didn't find out. I don't know.
I
She
honestly, I'm
was
not
a
sure.
unity religion. She was like the world religion.
She, is she just promoted so much, like, she was very accepting of herself, like, I've seen, um, interviews with her where, like, her father, the whole, like, they weren't really sure who her father was, and there was a lot of assumptions, and I think she carried a lot of guilt because of that, and shame.
Shame. Yeah.
It
Well,
just
everything was revolving so much around religious stuff back then,
yeah,
and sexuality there was so much shame, and there still is a pile of shame
there
around it.
is.
Listen,
Yeah,
if you can have sex during these times and are doing it safely and consensually, it's also a great way. If you don't want to turn inward right now and you're
right?
scared of forgiving yourself, have sex.
It's a release. Like, honestly, we
No,
carry so much in our bodies, and
yeah,
if we can release it, whether it's through an orgasm or through
you said the O
dancing
word.
and shaking our hips or
Yeah,
singing, creating, like, do more of that. Do more of whatever sets you free and
you
makes you
literally
feel like you.
you have to stop your day,
Yes.
and then you
Yeah.
have to immerse yourself. This
Yeah.
is how you start to combat the how it's pulling you down into that like third dimensional abyss of like this crazy
Of
like Nazism and
hopeless.
hate and
Yeah.
hopelessness, and the economy is crashing and everybody's not doesn't have enough, and because people want more and more no matter how much they have, and that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
But people are very affected by all these things, and the only way to do it is to take time out of your day where you're not immersed in anything like that, and you do something that you love.
And honestly, like, she was actually known as a fashion icon on top of everything else. Like, she loved her beautiful gowns and her, like, her hair and her makeup and the jewels. And
And the
honestly,
Baker
like,
Fix.
and the the Baker
What
fix.
a cool name for like a hair product.
It
So
really is.
so one of the most what's amazing is that she was able to flatten that hair like that. So I
I
don't know what the
know.
hell was in that product, but that hair, so black hair is really, really like I can't. You have to take a special course. I never did.
Yeah.
I had a friend who was black who showed me some stuff, and I was terrified. There's straighteners and all these things that you have to do, and doing black hair is like a whole art form.
I
And
grew up with around Black people, a lot of
yeah,
them,
oh,
and,
it
like, the
amazes
hot
me.
comb,
Oh,
I
and
the
it's these
hot comb I
weaves and all
used to
these
see,
weaves and this stuff. I'm like amazed by that. I would never have the patience. I could not be the person getting it done or doing it. I'll be very
it
honest. I
takes
could.
hours, hours and hours to braid.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But she
Yeah.
smoothed this very, very
I
like
know.
curly hair
Yeah.
down to like, like a white person's like
Yeah.
straight hair. And
Yeah.
that product must have been really, God knows what was in it. It must have been like glue or something like that to get her hair to like be in those beautiful flapper finger
Oh,
waves.
it
Which,
was
yeah, but she
stunning.
was a fashion icon. The banana dress was the
Yeah.
big thing, wasn't it?
Yes, the banana see, but the banana dress also is a little bit, controversial in that it's sexualizing and eroticizing a Black woman, and
Oh,
the reason it's bananas, it's because Black people were referred to as monkeys, and so, like,
oh.
it was very iconic,
See,
but it's also
I did
very
not,
problematic
yeah, I didn't
as
put that
well.
together at all.
Yeah, it's this is why we need to talk and to, like, connect with like-minded people, because you learn so much
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
you
Because
know
they asked her, I watched a talk show where her son was, one of her kids were on there.
yeah.
And her kids didn't know about any of this stuff, by the way.
I mean,
She didn't cross pollinate anything. So her career was not in her family life at all. They didn't know about the famous banana dress or
yeah,
the famous dances or anything like that. They didn't know what it was. She never talked about it. So she didn't want to show business, permeate her kid's life with
her
show business.
kids.
So, talk about, let's go back to the song that originally got us
Yeah,
to the episode to talk
yes,
about all this
yes,
stuff and about
yes,
having to,
let's do it.
work on ourselves and be like
Yeah,
Josephine. So I'm trying to find the song. So it's only on YouTube. So the music business is dominated also by the manosphere, by the way.
yeah,
And it's
always
very
people at the top.
horrifically patriarchal.
Yes, the
Um,
algorithms, we've seen it.
oh,
They promote the
the
vision.
music
Yeah,
business is like the worst. And so why you can't find this. So I went on Boney M's. Boney M have like 35 million followers on Spotify, which is amazing. I think they're one of the top 500 most loved artists in the world.
that's amazing.
That is amazing. So
Yeah,
I can't find my song. I can't find Josephine anywhere. I'm looking for her everywhere. And that girl,
yeah.
she's not anywhere near Boney M on Spotify.
Hmm.
So I'm like, yeah, things that make you go, So I
Hmm.
do a little bit
Yep.
of
Yeah.
investigative like searching, like I usually
Yeah.
do, and I went down a rabbit hole and found out that, interestingly enough, in 1989, I think when the song was written and given to Boney M to record, unfortunately, the man that owned, I think he owned a big chunk of their career. Frank Farian was their original producer who did all the
Hmm.
original Boney M music.
Yeah.
He didn't like the fact that Boney M wanted to work with another producer, I think. So pretty
Hmm.
much struck the song from their repertoire, and the only place you can find it is on YouTube, and you can't get it anywhere else. Is
I
it
don't even know what to
This is how
say.
bad the music
It's
industry is.
yeah.
One song, Frank Farian probably made, they say he made millions of dollars off of Boney M, by the way, and they got 10% of whatever they did.
Oh wow.
That's what I
Wow.
heard. I don't know whether that's true or not. So
Yeah.
if
If you
anybody
know.
knows the stats, give us some
Yeah.
comments. But I heard that, yeah, he took a big chunk of their income. And that was very, very, very typical of that time. Because there was a lot of people that went
Unfortunately.
through with this. A lot of artists went through this.
And
Um,
especially Black artists, I think, too,
yeah.
back
Yeah. Oh,
then.
of course.
Yeah.
But Elvis too.
Yeah.
Elvis was
Yeah.
like totally taken advantage of, I think. Like lots of big people. Michael Jackson was taken advantage of. I think
Yeah.
they all have been. These people that hit a certain level of fame,
Of
of
fame.
celebrity, it
Yeah.
comes with a terrible price. And
It unfortunately
well,
does.
look, you can't even put their song on Spot. They won't put the song on
Yeah.
Spotify because they're afraid somebody else is going to make a few bucks. And this is the other thing in this world, and this is the other thing that Josephine exemplified,
Yeah.
was helping one another.
Yes.
People don't want to help anybody anymore, and that's how you kind of start this stuff, right? So here we are. We got
Yeah.
great songs. We have Spotify with 134 million followers, but they won't allow the song on there because, oh, that's going to introduce another producer. And Frank Farian's dead. He's gone. So there's so many complexities in this world. The music industry is full of them. And it's one of the reasons
Yeah.
why when I started in it, I didn't want to pursue it. I didn't want to become part of the industry. And so I never did. I just made music.
Yeah.
And so that's why like it never applied for any awards or Junos or anything like that ever. Never ever submitted anything because I didn't really
Really?
care. No, I didn't. I didn't care. Um,
Okay.
one way or the other. I just wanted to make music, and
Yeah.
if people listen to it, that would be great. But I
Yeah.
knew the toxicity that's in the music industry. It's a rough industry.
Well,
So
even like recently, I think Taylor Swift had
yes,
some battle. Like, yeah, you hear lots of stories about this with different artists, and
oh, it's
it's
scary.
heartbreaking,
It's
honestly,
scary.
because
Well,
it's their work.
I
You
would
know,
like to see
like
what Josephine Baker got paid because I think I heard some stats like what they were getting paid was like, oh, I don't know, $5 a week or something like that in the beginning. It's really, and she died. Like this is another point. Um, she was always very, 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 very like, well, how do we put this nicely? She just
yeah,
wasn't affluent
yeah,
financially.
financially, yeah,
Most artists really struggle. Like you'd be surprised at the
many,
artists. Oh, thousands of artists that are famous are struggling
yeah,
because they.
like how mind blowing is that?
Oh, it's unbelievable. It's
Yeah,
unbelievable that somebody like her would die and did you know that I think she financially fell into like a really bad place, lost the first house
she
she
lost
had,
the
but
her
yeah,
castle.
but did you hear
Yeah,
that like one of her friends, did you know who her friend was that bought her the new place?
ooh, Grace
Grace
Kelly.
Kelly.
Oh, I know.
So remember, we're talking about
One of her
kindness
best
here.
friends.
We're talking about
Yes.
kindness here. So this is the kind of
Yes.
kindness we're talking about. So we're not talking about you have to buy your next or pay your next door neighbor's mortgage
Right.
off. I'm
Right.
not saying that, but you
If
know
you're
what
a
I mean. Like,
princess of
I,
Monaco, then
you
I mean,
take on a little
do what
bit
you can
more.
do.
Take on more. Take on a little more.
Exactly.
That's what
Yes.
I mean. But this is so Princess Grace. She
Yeah.
bought this house for her, so
Yeah.
they'd have a home, which was like incredibly nice.
I know.
It's great that, and don't forget, there's lots of really good people in the world. There's lots of
There
really good
are.
people. There's really good people in Iran. There's really good
But
people
you
in the
know what I
US, and
think?
there's good people in Canada, and there's good
Yeah,
people all over Europe and everywhere else, and in China. There's good people everywhere.
there really is. I honestly think that a lot of this is coming to the surface so that light can be brought to it and we can deal with what's been happening. Because love and light can be just, if not more, contagious than dark shadow. But
Yeah,
it takes a little bit more to get to that place. And
right.
sometimes it's how we navigate through. Because I remember this, I think it was a quote somewhere that said, in order to see the light, you need to go through the darkness. And to
Well,
me, like that visually, like I think of stars in the sky and
yes,
like,
it's
like,
the darkness that allows the light to show.
yes, yes. So if you're out there and you're feeling hopeless right now, know that there are people that are like minded, that are feeling what you're feeling, and find your tribe. Really like connect with your people and
Yeah,
have real conversations
I'd
and
like doing that.
go inward.
Yes, go into yourself,
Yeah.
and then when you do go external, try
Yes.
not to do it by doing it on social media.
No, have real conversations with people in
Now, I'm
person.
not saying not go on WhatsApp because you and I talk on video on WhatsApp. So
Yes.
we have our tea time on
Yes.
video.
Our tea time.
So, which we're soon going to do on YouTube with the podcast.
Oh, I'm excited.
That's coming. That's going to be, we're
Yes.
learning this. We're getting there.
We've been doing baby steps.
Yeah.
Baby steps.
So, but basically today, what we wanted to do was talk about a person who was against all odds, and despite it
Yes.
all, she skidded into that grave. I know.
Yes.
Listen, this is
With
the
her
kind of,
fabulous jewels and her
yeah, like
yes.
this is a
Yes.
absolute heroism story.
Heroine.
Heroism
Heroes,
story.
yeah. Yeah.
Heroism?
She's a heroine.
I don't want to make up words.
She's a legend.
She's a legend. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
But she literally, some people just kind of coast into the grave.
Yeah.
I think she parachuted into it.
Yes.
Dropped from a
singing,
plane,
dancing her way in.
That's the kind of person she was. And we were hoping that if you don't know who Josephine Baker is, you'll go look. I hope you go listen to Everybody Wants to Dance Like Josephine Baker on YouTube by Boney M, because it's a really great song, and that's going to make you dance around your living room. And when you see how Josephine dances, you might not feel so bad about how you dance.
Right.
Because
it's infectious.
It's infectious. And you know what? Is. That dance that you think is quirky that you won't do in front of anybody is something that could have been entertaining for somebody else.
Yeah, and brought joy. Even just brought joy to yourself.
Exactly. So today's episode was all about inspiration and joy and hoping that we get rid of the patriarch.
Yes.
Did I sum it up really well, Christy? Did I do it? Did I sum it up, Christy?
Good job.
Was it a good job?
You did so good. I'm so proud of you.
See? I told you I could do it.
I'm proud of us.
I'm going to go listen to my song.
Okay.
Over and over again, because I got to listen to it on YouTube, because I'm not allowed to have it on Spotify, because the music industry sucks. But anyway, I said that. I can say that because I'm not in it. I'm going to get in trouble. My chair is squeaking. I'm sorry, everybody, but my EDS is driving me nuts because it's been so damp lately. And I'm fidgeting in the chair over here. Sorry, you probably can hear it.
Maybe it's time for us to wrap up and say goodbye. And
I know. We got to leave.
We hope that you really enjoyed this episode, and if any part of it resonated, share it with people, comment, and we'll see you on the next round.
We really want to comment. I like comments. It's one of my things. I like seeing
comments is fun. It makes my day.
Makes my day too. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening, and we'll be back for episode 8.
Yeah, which we don't know what it is yet.
Well, I think we do. Do we?
Well, we need to talk a little bit more, I think.
Okay. All right. We'll do that.
Or go ahead.
We're going to do that. I don't know. We're going to talk a little bit more. I don't know. The next one is good. Hopefully we've inspired you. You go check out Josephine. You turn inward. You forgive yourself. You give yourself a break. Yes. And go eat something like ice cream.
Anything that makes you happy.
Chips. Sounds good to me, Christy.
I mean, with our pots.
Yeah. Oh, some pot? Sure. I'd like to have some pot with mine. Oh, you mean pots? Oh, yes. Sorry, Christy. It's my ADHD.
I know.
Okay.
Drake.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
And thanks for being here with us today.
If this episode resonated, share it with someone who might need it.
And remember,
life bends us all.
See you next time.
And don't forget to comment.